An F-35 stealth fighter, costing over $100 million and touted by Western media as invincible, was actually taken down by Iran's supposedly outdated air defense system. What's more, the pilot remained completely unaware until the moment the aircraft was hit. How is this even possible? In the early hours of March 19, 2026, an event occurred over the Middle Eastern battlefield that is worthy of being included in military textbooks. A video released by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps left military observers around the world stunned. In the footage, a clearly discernible F-35 stealth fighter jet was flying steadily through the night sky. The next second, a bright spot approached at high speed from below and struck the jet's tail directly. Throughout the entire incident, the F-35 did not perform any evasive maneuvers nor release any chaff. It simply took the hit head-on. Subsequently, U.S. Central Command was compelled to confirm that an F-35 had indeed encountered an unforeseen incident while on a mission and made an emergency landing at an Allied base. Although they did not admit that Iran had downed the aircraft, they also, unusually, did not deny it. The reason this incident is so troublesome for the Pentagon lies in how Iran managed to pull it off. Prior to this, U.S. Secretary of Defense Hegseth had publicly stated that the U.S. military had completely destroyed Iran's air defense forces. For a long time, U.S. and Israeli air forces treated Iranian airspace as their own backyard, moving in and out at will. This absolute advantage in air superiority led to complacency among U.S. and Israeli pilots, who flew along fixed attack routes, assuming that the Iranians on the ground were no longer capable of fighting back. However, the Iranians exploited this overconfidence to stage a meticulously planned ambush. Judging from the electro-optical footage released by Iran and the weapon systems it has showcased in recent years, the weapon that struck the F-35 was most likely Iran's domestically developed Type 358 air defense loitering missile, or its upgraded variant, the Type 359. This weapon is highly unique. It is essentially a small drone capable of prolonged aerial patrol, equipped with electro-optical and infrared guidance systems. This precisely targets the F-35's fatal blind spot. While stealth fighters can evade radar detection, they cannot eliminate their infrared signature, particularly at the engine nozzles, where the intense exhaust plume is highly conspicuous to infrared detection systems. More importantly, because it is passively guided and does not emit radar waves, the F-35's radar warning receiver remains silent throughout the entire engagement. The pilot has no idea the danger is approaching until the moment the missile strikes the fuselage. The Iranians' tactics are also quite sophisticated. After enduring repeated bombing campaigns by U.S. and Israeli air forces for so long, they have long since mapped out their opponent's typical attack routes. Since turning on the radar could immediately invite an attack from anti-radiation missiles, they simply chose not to use it. They pre-deployed these infrared-guided air-to-air cruise missiles along the flight paths that U.S. and Israeli warplanes were bound to take. This tactical system was highly sophisticated. First, they used long-range anti-stealth radar for preliminary early warning and positioning, but the radar was only activated briefly to gather data before being shut down to prevent detection. Subsequently, they rely entirely on electro-optical equipment for silent tracking throughout the entire process. Finally, when the F-35 enters low altitude or a specific area, pre-positioned missiles are triggered to launch an ambush. This bears similarities to the tactics used by the Yugoslavian military in 1999 to shoot down the F-117 stealth bomber, but Iran's system is more automated, and its framework is more comprehensive. The operational logic of the Type 358 air defense loitering missile is also clear. It is not a traditional missile launched directly from a launcher toward a target, but rather a smart munition capable of patrolling the battlefield. Once launched, it can cruise at subsonic speeds for up to several tens of minutes within a designated airspace, covering a fairly large sector. Its seeker primarily relies on infrared imaging and is capable of identifying and distinguishing between large passenger aircraft, drones, and fighter-class targets. This means it does not require continuous guidance from ground-based radar and can operate entirely independently. When an F-35 flies nearby, even if its radar reflection is too weak to be detected by ground radar, the infrared radiation from its engine exhaust cannot be concealed from the Type 358 missile's infrared imaging field of view. Once locked on, the missile employs a dive attack, targeting the rear of the fighter jet's engine, where the thermal signature is strongest. Even if the missile's warhead lacks the explosive power to destroy the entire aircraft, damaging the engine blades alone would cause the F-35 to rapidly lose thrust. The negative impact of this attack on the F-35 stealth fighter far exceeds the loss of a single aircraft. For a long time, The F-35's selling points in the global arms market have been its stealth capabilities and powerful electronic warfare advantages, leading many to view it as the absolute trump card for suppressing fourth-generation fighters. But now, cracks have appeared in this myth. This incident proves that fighters like the Su-35, equipped with advanced infrared electro-optical detection systems, are fully capable of detecting and locking onto the F-35 at close range. If combined with infrared air-to-air missiles and aerial combat, the F-35's stealth advantage would be completely nullified within visual range. As for fifth-generation fighters, which also possess stealth capabilities and are equipped with even more advanced electro-optical detection systems, if they encounter an F-35, they may even be able to lock onto and attack it without the opponent even noticing. This incident has also exposed shortcomings in the F-35's infrared stealth design. Although infrared suppression was considered during the design phase, this approach did not completely resolve the issue of infrared radiation. Furthermore, inherent design flaws in the F-35 were magnified by this incident. Due to airframe design limitations, the F-35's supersonic flight capabilities have long been criticized, particularly for the B and C variants, where prolonged supersonic flight could even damage the stealth coating. This means its speed advantage is not significant, as its cruising speed remains subsonic, a fact that provides opportunities for pursuit by subsonic cruise missiles like the 358. Another overlooked detail is the F-35's mission planning system. US and Israeli operational planning typically relies on satellite reconnaissance and electronic intelligence collection. Once the absence of large-scale air defense radar signals in a given area is confirmed, relatively fixed attack routes are mapped out. Iran fully exploited this reliance on electronic intelligence, using radar-independent infrared ambushes to sever the intelligence chain of the US and Israeli air forces. This success directly impacted the situation on the Middle Eastern battlefield. The US military suspended all F-35 strike missions deep into Iranian territory that same day, switching to strikes using standoff weapons. The effectiveness of this conservative tactic clearly cannot be compared to that of stealth fighters penetrating enemy defenses. The Israeli Air Force was also severely deterred. Its large fleet of F-35s faced the same threat, forcing a reduction in the intensity of airstrikes against deep-seated targets in Iran. For Iran, this success not only demonstrated that its air defense forces still possess formidable combat capabilities, but also greatly boosted morale. Protected by this asymmetric combat capability, Iran's ballistic missile forces can launch counterattacks with greater confidence. Within 48 hours of the attack, the Aerospace Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched multiple medium-range ballistic missiles at U.S. military bases in Iraq, successfully penetrating U.S. and Israeli air defense intercepts. Globally, this incident does not bode well for the F-35's export prospects. Switzerland has just drastically reduced its F-35 procurement order due to cost concerns, and is now considering European air defense systems. Now that it has been revealed that the F-35 can be so easily damaged by low-cost weapons in actual combat, countries currently considering the purchase of the F-35 will likely have to weigh the question: can this stealth ace, purchased at enormous cost, truly cope with future battlefield threats? This is not merely a matter of the U.S. military potentially cutting orders. It is a complete shattering of the F-35 invincibility myth. A loitering munition worth millions of dollars has damaged a stealth fighter worth hundreds of millions. This extreme disparity in the exchange ratio is the reality that will cause the greatest headaches for military powers on future battlefields.